From the Surveyor Newsroom in sunny Miami, welcome to the Miami Real Estate Podcast, your home for expert insight on all things Miami real estate. I'm your host, Omar DeWint. Let's get started. You started Fuel Venture Capital here in Miami back in 2017. People thought you were crazy at the time,
They did.
right?
I thought I was absolutely crazy.
So let's start the conversation there and sort of tell us what that was like and what drove you, what inspired you to come here.
Well, so, I think I got to take you back, and you had mentioned it a little bit when you were introducing me, but, I spent 21 years at Merrill Lynch, and from 2009 to when I retired in 2016, I was really running back and forth between New York and Miami. So I kept a place in New York, and I was in our headquarters quite a bit, but, home was Miami. It had been home, since 2001. And so, being a Wall Street guy, being a New York person, New York is the financial hub of the world. When I decided to start the firm, and everyone was like, okay, well, it was just the assumption I was going to be in New York or I was going to go to San Francisco. And I said, no, we're going to do this in Miami. And everybody would just kind of look at me with this, why would you do that? I mean, if you're going to be in venture capital, you either got to be in New York or you got to be in Silicon Valley. And to me, it was 2016. I was reinventing myself. I'm a Wall Street guy. I'm a public markets guy. What the hell do I know about venture capital, right? And so, I've kind of always prided myself on getting on my horse and riding into the future and trying to understand where I think things are going. And I really felt that Miami was going to become, and you and I talked about this the last time we were together, that Miami would become a very important part of the ecosystem. And it only makes sense. And for me, it was because of where we are, right? If you think about business existing, if you think about, increasing your market share, Latin America is a pretty damn big, market to go after. And we're right at, some people say, we're the capital of Latin America. Some people find that to be disparaging. So I'm not saying that for anything to be negative, but we're definitely, all of my investors have homes in Miami, and they also have homes in their be Guatemala or Mexico City or wherever it might be.
It's a gateway.
It's a gateway. I think it's the best way to say it. So to me, it only made sense that eventually, and when you think about technology being democratized, and I think COVID is proof source that, right?
Right.
A month ago, you and I would have been doing this through Zooms because we can. Right. Business didn't stop. We kept doing things. We just iterated and did something a little bit different because technology allowed us to. And to me, I knew that would be the case. And if that was the case, why would founders or inventors need to pick up and move to the Valley, where it's extremely expensive? You're paying $10,000 to live in a closet. Right. And you're burning through, your investors' capital for your office space. You don't need to do that, right? If you have an ecosystem, you have access to capital and fuel, you can do this stuff from anywhere. And fast forward to, January 2021, and here we are. I think people from around the world are realizing, if I've got to get up every morning and go to work, do I want to get up and deal with snow? Or, any of those elements that may not be appealing. Right. Or should I be in Miami where it's sunny and 80 every damn day? Yeah. Right. And so I think that's what you're seeing. And again, if there's no barrier to the business side, why wouldn't you do that?
Right. And I think when you add on to that, the technology, as you mentioned, but also Miami itself as a destination where, and we'll talk about this later, but where it's always had the play. Now it has even more of the live and the work, and thanks in part to cultural institutions, the education's gotten better, healthcare's gotten better, our public spaces, the greenery, combine all of that along with the gateway status and the global workability that we're at, where we find ourselves. There's almost no reason why you wouldn't want to be here.
I completely agree, and I think you said it very well. I mean, before, maybe the last 6 months, people thought of Miami as, well, that's where I'm going to go to vacation. They didn't really think, well, that's where I'm going to go to work. Well, you and I are great examples of that. We get up every morning very early and we work very late. mean, I don't know when the last time you were on the beach, but I don't even remember when the last time I was on the beach, right?
Maybe 2010 or
Yeah,
something.
exactly, right? Because we live here and we work here,
Right.
right? And I think that people are starting to realize that. And it's not that they're realizing it; they have realized it, and you're
Hmm.
seeing it happen, every single
Sure.
day.
Sure. And so tell me, so that was, when you first came here. Now, help me bridge the gap between then and now. So 5 years ago, for the listeners, what was the tech? What did the tech scene look like, and how has that sort of changed to now, from then to now?
I think 5 years ago, you had some small, um, pockets of technology.
Hmm.
Two guys that come to mind. Herman Montoya, Nabil Sharania. They started a company builder called Rocker Inc.
Hmm.
And with the whole idea to help entrepreneurs who wanted to do something but maybe didn't have the expertise, to create a tech stack, or didn't maybe know how to put together a business plan or a go-to-market plan, and they built a business to help businesses grow. And that was really kind of the beginning of it all. And then from there, I think more and more people started to realize, hey, again, going back to this democratization of
Hmm.
technology, if I don't have to go to the Valley or San Francisco, I can do it here, or I
Right.
can do it in Kansas City, or wherever it might be. So Austin, Texas is another, I
Sure.
think, benefactor of what's going on right now, and it's a great city, and they're doing their own thing, but it's very different than what we're doing.
Right. And actually, it's interesting. So, in what ways is it different, and maybe in what ways is it similar?
Well, again, I think if you're in Miami, okay, this is my humble opinion,
Sure.
but if
That's what we like to give
yeah,
here.
yeah, if you're gonna be in Miami, right? I've been here 21 years now. This is a very special place. But I always like to say you either love Miami or you hate Miami for the exact same reasons, right?
Interesting. Sure.
So if you are very comfortable and enjoy the fact that I'll use myself as an example.
Hmm.
I'm a minority in Miami,
Right.
okay, and so if you are comfortable living in a city where there's a lot of different people that look in a lot of different ways, there's a lot of
Hmm.
different skin color, different sexual preferences, different, this is a place of acceptance.
Sure.
And if you love that, then this is the greatest city in the world.
Right.
And if you're uncomfortable with that, then it's probably not your place.
Right.
I mean, on any given day, you get into an elevator in any of our beautiful skyscrapers. 9 out of 10 times, the people that are on that elevator with you are not speaking English.
Right.
So you got to be comfortable with that. You get into an Uber, and I guarantee you they're not speaking English, right?
Hmm.
But you've got to be okay with that. And if you're okay with that, if you love that, then this is the greatest place there is to be. So when I say it's different, this is an international city. I tell people all the time, this isn't America, right? This is Miami.
Hmm.
Now, what the hell that means, I'm not really sure, but it's this mix between, an offshore city and an American city. But
Hmm.
it's, if you want to go to America, you go up to Fort Lauderdale, right? I mean, I
Right.
was there this week, actually. And I stopped the people that I was with. This is a true story. We were walking down Las Olas, and I said to the people that I was with, I said, this is just hilarious to me. And they're like, what are you talking about? I said, well, I haven't been in America for a while. And they're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, look around you, you
Hmm.
know, everybody's white and everybody's old,
Right.
right? And I'm not used to that.
That's
This
funny.
this is a very special city.
Well, Miami is an international capital, right? More than 51%, I believe, last I checked, of the population is foreign born, and I think it's better for it. To your
Right.
point, it really depends on. We were talking off mic before we started. Your choices or lifestyle choices or what you're looking for, whether it's condo, single family home, the beach, or the urban core.
Yeah.
It really depends on what you're looking for. And the great thing now, we were talking about being a gateway to Latin America. Recent infrastructure improvements like Brightline,
Yeah.
the medium speed trail
Super
rail
exciting.
that takes us from downtown Miami all the way up to Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach, and eventually Orlando, makes it possible for those that want maybe a more, I guess, traditionally conventional sort of way of life that's sort of more Americana, right, vibe, can find that there. And for
Yeah.
those that love to be in the mix and all the spiciness that downtown offers, like,
Right.
you're here.
Yeah, if you want to be in the urban stampede, we have it.
Right.
And if you want to be out in the suburbs, we have it.
Right.
If you want to be on the beach, we have it. If you want
Yep.
to be on the bay, I mean, that's just the point. It's truly. I've been around the world twice. I don't care where you go.
Hmm.
it's really hard to beat this place.
Yeah, it really, and we can't, emphasize that enough. It just really has it all.
It really
And when
does.
so I'm going to sidebar a little bit, but when we were, I was talking with the team yesterday before today, it sort of dawned on us something that I guess should have been more clear already, because this is what we do in real estate and in marketing. But we're comparing. So Silicon Valley has has the tech scene, right? It has that's a big economic driver. New York, the financial center. These two things are sort of converging in Miami, right? And have been more so recently, and will continue to do so. But then you complement what is all these other sort of intangibles that Miami brings, that these may not all have together in the gateway status,
Hmm.
and you're dealing with a real global epicenter, especially as we become more and more globalized.
I really think that's hitting it right on the head.
Yeah.
Everything you just got done saying is really the ingredients of what is really starting to transpire, and the fact that it's one thing to talk about it, right? And what was it, a year ago that we were having this conversation?
Yep.
Maybe a little
Maybe
bit
a little
longer
more
than a
than,
year,
yeah.
But look at what has happened, right?
Mhm.
And we were talking about it then, but you really didn't have it's that old saying, I hear what you say, but I'll see what you do.
Sure.
But now you have SoftBank
Hmm.
that has their headquarters for Latin America here,
Yep.
which is interesting because you and I were just talking about that,
Yeah.
right? You have Blackstone, which, in
Mhm.
my opinion, is one of the greatest companies on the face of the planet. They've just inked their real estate here. You've got Goldman Sachs that's looking at Miami as a second headquarters.
Hmm.
That's a massive statement.
Yeah.
Stifel Financial, right? One of the oldest financial services firm on Wall Street, 130 years old. They have a small office here, but I know factually, because I know the CEO, Ron Krajewski, very well, and I know that he has big plans for Miami, both
Hmm.
in expanding his international business and his offerings to his clients, and he
Sure.
sees Miami as the way to do that. So those are, to me, the proof source
Yep.
of the conversation you and I had a year and a half ago. It's now real.
Absolutely. And then when you consider, so if we look beyond the trees, right, a little bit and see the forest, we were talking about how I'm an aviation geek, right? So I'm always following what's happening in the airline and aviation world. We're not very far off from the technology already exists to bring direct flights from China, mainland China, to Miami. We're talking about major global economies. It's going to be even more. It's going to be even easier with some new planes in development. So when you connect via direct link, I believe, again, this is just humble opinion, mainland China, Japan, other Asian destinations, direct to Miami, get rid of that stopover flight. I feel like you're going to see even more from a global business center standpoint, that more attractiveness of Miami.
Exactly.
So
And it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the reason it's going to happen is because of all of those firms that I just mentioned
Yeah.
are here.
Right.
So the airlines, being in business, have to make sure that their end consumer,
Yeah.
which are all those companies that I just mentioned,
Right.
have their wants and needs, fulfilled. Otherwise, they're not good business people.
Right.
So it's just logical. What you just said is absolutely going to happen.
Yeah. So it's exciting, and we're on the lookout for that. So then, Jeff, that brings me to my next question: is how do you think all of this and the effect of Miami's tech boom, what will be the effect, I should say, on the local real estate market?
Well, I think you see it happening. I mean, again, I've been here 20 years. Interestingly enough, my wife and I, we live downtown, in a sky, in a high-rise condo, and we've been living that way since 2009. And just, I would say, in the last 9 months, we started thinking, well, maybe we want to get back into a house, and so we started looking, and the prices from when we first started looking to where they are now. Supply and demand.
Mm-hmm.
And so we see what's happening, and I'm an economist, so I see it. But what do I think is going to happen is, in your business, my friend, hold on to your head. I
Right.
think for the next 10 years, you're going to, I think you're in just an incredible position. And in my humble opinion, again, I'll try not to continue to say that, but I personally believe that from a business perspective, we now are starting to take the people are starting to get, I can't think of the word right now, the COVID vaccine. Thank
Sure.
you. And, as that continues to scale out, people are going to start going back into their normal routines.
Hmm.
And I personally think it's going to be a renaissance like you and I
Hmm.
have never seen in our lifetime, nor will we ever see again.
Hmm.
And I think it's going to be real estate, it's going to be restaurants, it's going to be nightlife. Uh, People are going to spend the next 5, 6 years making up for the 1 year that we've been in our caves,
Hmm.
because that's not what we're supposed to do. As the human condition is not meant to be locked down.
Hmm.
And I think that I mean, just right now, just being with you right now, the energy is amazing.
Right.
And it wouldn't be the same if I was at home.
Right.
So I think that there are a lot of people that seem to think that, you know, commercial real estate, for example, is
Hmm.
dead. I mean, I hear that all the time. I think it's ridiculous, right? I don't believe that people want to wake up in the morning, hang out in their condo or their house all damn day and all night, not see anybody, not do anything, and do that month after month after month, or in this case, year after year after year. And plus, I don't think that it's good for business.
Right.
I think that when people come together, energy is created, ideas are created. You learn. That's how you learn. It's
Hmm.
peer-to-peer learning. You
Right.
take away the peer-to-peer, and we're all in trouble. So I think that I think commercial real estate in Miami is going to benefit big time, and I think residential real estate is going to be a hot spot for years to come.
I agree. And I mean, we were just doing, just as a point of interest, a little research yesterday. And thanks to Juan, the intern, shout out. I asked to pull some data because we were thinking like, the tech industry, when you have the executives, right, they need to live near, or in this case, they want where they live, higher paying jobs, right, which then means afford more, can afford higher priced homes, drives the price up. And I was just curious to look at San Francisco by context to share this with you. We saw that if you look at San Francisco's sort of trajectory from 93 to right before the recession, home average median home prices went up from about 300,000 where they started in 93 and ended up about topped off right around was this 900,000 right before the recession.
Mm-hmm.
So in about 15 years coming up, that's 600,000. In the next 10 years of, with the recovery fueled by the tech boom, we saw that more than double.
Mm-hmm.
And in a third of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just basically speaks back to the case. If history is any indicator, and I think to what you're telling me, it's hold on to your hats, right? Residential and commercial, because if the trend continues with the exodus from Silicon Valley combined with the exodus from financial hotspots like New York and other feeder cities, we're going to see a lot of demand over here.
Well, first of all, I think what is going to happen in Miami will be exponential compared to this.
Wow.
And the reason that I think that is because, again, it's 80 and sunny here every day.
Right.
Okay, and that is a massive point that we can't forget.
Mm-hmm.
So if everything else is being equal, we win simply because of our weather.
Right.
Okay. Now you start to add on top of that the business reasons to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And you used a word, the exodus from Silicon Valley, and that's the one thing that I might have a different opinion on
Sure.
than a lot of people, and maybe the things that are being said around Miami as of late. But I'm not a big believer that I have to take from somebody in order to win.
Mm.
And I don't think that Miami has to take from Silicon Valley
Perhaps
in order for all
complement.
this stuff to happen.
Right.
I think, when I started Fuel Venture Capital in 2017, my mission was to become a bridge to Silicon Valley. In other words, if I'm a managing director of a firm in Silicon Valley, I may not want to get on a plane and fly 5.5, 6 hours to Miami and then get on another plane and fly to Mexico City,
Mm-hmm.
okay, or Guatemala or wherever it might be. But if I have a firm in Miami that I trust their intellectual firepower, their due diligence, and their investment thesis, maybe I'll partner with that firm, and then that firm can be, my research and my extension. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so I don't think that Silicon Valley is going to empty out.
Right.
I don't.
That's a good point.
I think that what's going to happen is that people are going to decide to have additional offices here, or founders are going to say, okay, I'm not going to go to Silicon Valley. I was never there.
Sure.
So I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go to Miami instead. Or in some cases you will find some founders, and I think you see it right now, that are leaving for all the reasons that they want a better quality of life. So you're going to see some of it, but it's not going to empty out, nor should it, nor do we want it to.
Right, right.
This is the power of not the detriment of or. Silicon Valley can be there, and Miami can do really well and grow exponentially. It's not that we have to grow and they can't.
I'm really glad that you brought that up, because we can complement each other while also serving as a new point of entry for the next generations of
that's
startups.
The beauty, right? And by the way, that's, in my opinion, what Miami is. We don't want to take from people. We accept people. We that's what makes this city so great. So why in the world would we want to be running around saying we're going to empty out Silicon Valley and we're going to be the benefactors of that? No.
Yeah. That's a very, very good point. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Miami Real Estate Podcast here with Jeff Ransdell, founder of Fuel Venture Capital. We're talking about how Miami's booming tech scene is fueling our latest real estate market boom. More with Jeff after the break. We're back here with Jeff Ransdell, founder and director of Fuel Venture Capital. He's giving us a insider's perspective on how tech is making Miami's real estate market boom. Jeff, amazing insights so far. I want to put our commercial real estate hat on for a moment and circle back on something you were just speaking to. There's been a lot of talk about the future of offices. I should say a lot of speculation about whether or not commercial real estate in the office as we know it will remain viable. A lot of companies have shut down their offices, have people working from home indefinitely. But you and your team at Fuel Venture Capital have not only kept your office, which was formerly in Wynwood, you quadrupled its size, hitting the mic here, you quadrupled its size, moving it over to Coconut Grove. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was quadruple. It was more like 8x. So it was an interesting time. I think if we all go back to March, none of us have really experienced any of this stuff. I mean, if you really think about it, it's something out of a movie. Sometimes I actually say to my wife, I feel like I'm living in this dream, right? All the things that are going on. But, obviously we started having, in-depth conversations with all of our portfolio companies because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. Let's really make sure that we cut out all of the non-essential expenses and really make sure that we're stretching out our runway and lowering our burn. And, I think it was important for us to look in the mirror as well. And so I had to make some decisions as the managing director. And, I reached out to my team, and obviously everyone was going to be working from home for a while. Our partnership in the lease was kind of up. Wasn't kind of up, it was. And I had to make a decision. Do you just shut it down and take all of your stuff and put it into a storage unit? But again, I said it earlier in our talk, right? I've really tried to pride myself on getting on my horse and riding into the future. And I don't believe that this is the normal. This isn't the new normal. This is a period of time that we're having to deal with. And when we've dealt with it, we're going to go back to normal. And I think normal in a whole another exciting way.
Right.
And so I decided to not only keep my office, but build something very special. And what we have built is what I think is going to be the future of many little pockets in Miami. Not saying it's the pocket,
sure, but
it's definitely going to be a pocket of like-minded people, founders, and money sources in Coconut Grove. And right now, we have 3 floors. The top floor is really all private equity. We're there with IDC Ventures, which is our partner firm out of Europe. So they keep offices with us. We have the Tag Experience, which is our PR and branding team, Bolt Mobility, and also Texfile. So we're all in the same space right now, and we have first right of refusal on a bunch of square footage. And if I have it my way, it'll be a village of like-minded tech people. If you're familiar with Coconut Grove, I've been here 20 years. I've lived in a lot of different places around Miami. The Grove to me is just a huge hug. It's the oldest borough in Miami. You have beautiful trees. I mean, I look out my window and there's these gorgeous trees,
Right.
When I was in Wynwood, and I loved Wynwood. Wynwood is very special in its own way. But when I looked out the window in Wynwood, it was a cement factory,
Sure.
and it just wasn't the image that I wanted, people to think of my firm. And so I felt that it was important for me to go somewhere that was more aligned with our values and how we wanted to present ourselves to our investors.
Absolutely. And Coconut Grove, you mentioned it, Miami's oldest neighborhood, I think it was in the late 1800s, has always been not only known by its beauty and the foliage and just the greenery on the water, but also for that artistic, creative, innovative flair.
Big time.
I think that the likes of Howard Hughes to Earhart, Edison even had a vacation home there, I'm told. But it's interesting because
don't forget Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett, all right, Margaritaville. So it's creatives and the energy, right? Something about the Grove just attracts it, and it's great to see your team sort of anchoring down there.
All those things were in my mind, right? You're right. I mean, the Grove. There's just something about the energy that it brings, and again, when I come into the Grove, I just feel like someone's giving me a big hug, and I'm really happy, and I think what we're building there is very special. And once we get back to once we get through this, once we can all come back together and feel comfortable, we're going to start doing. I'm going to call it tech community gatherings, where we invite people like yourself. Founders, technologists, investors. We've built this as a home. The values of our firm are about family. It's really what our culture is all about. And I want it to feel that way. And I think it's going to be very special. That's
amazing. I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it is already. So what I'm picking up, and I agree, is that the office as a sort of like as an institution will not go away, right? We want the office. We're not going to shift to a sort of community or society where we're working from home, which is great. I think we like that. But talk to me about the idea of the Class A office space. So Coconut Grove is a little bit more, or your sort of infrastructure there. It's a little bit more spacious, right? As opposed to the high rise in a let's say a Brickell or a downtown sort of conventional sense. Do you see Class A or just that office being reimagined? Will it be a mix of both or one or the other? Or what do you see?
So I've heard a lot of people say that the time for Class A is dead, and I disagree with that. I think it boils down to artistic style, as with most things in life. You have some people who are ahead of some companies that really enjoy, the feel of almost that micro New York feel, and they want to be in Brickell. Okay, and we have amazing, buildings for those individuals to populate, and we have some brand new ones exactly like that. If you go down to Coconut Grove, there's been some development in the last couple of years. If I'm not mistaken, it's a little over $1 billion that have gone into Cocoa Walk, et cetera. Right. There's a brand new building there. There's private equity already in that building that I know of. And so it really depends on what you want. For me, I came from Wynwood, which was extremely artistic, graphic art, spray paint everywhere. And that's a cool feel. But from a finance house, I felt we needed to step it up.
Sure.
But I didn't want to go into the one thing, again, this is my personal opinion, but the one downside to Miami is everything is new. And I happen to like character, right? So our building is a Mayfair building. It was built a long time ago, and it's got a ton of character.
Right.
So for me, being a venture capitalist, we're a little more edgy. I wanted to have that feel, and that's what we have. But you could walk across the street to the new Cocoa Walk, and you could get a brand new Class A building if you want to. And by the way, I think that building is damn near filled already. So anybody that says it is going away, again, the proof source is that is not accurate.
I think you're spot on. And I was having a conversation with our managing partner yesterday who informed me that there's apparently over 1 million square footage plus demand currently, at least for office space in the greater downtown Miami area, which that was mind blowing to me. And when you combine What you're mentioning about Coconut Grove already, being mainly filled up, and all the beauty and attraction that it offers, we're going to need even more space very
Yeah,
soon.
exactly. And I think there's a lot of developers. Moishe Mana owns a lot of real estate in downtown. I know he's got big plans. So we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. And so, I guess you sort of touched on this, but to put a fine point, when we talk about people classifying Class A office space, do you believe that that will still be what companies want to pay top dollar for in 5 years?
I think it's going to depend on the company. So a BlackRock or a
Mhm.
Blackstone, sorry, that comes to Miami is going to look for that type of office building. And
Mhm.
again, we just proof source that, right?
Right.
A Goldman Sachs is going to come to Miami, and that is what they want.
Hmm.
Okay, so it depends on who it is,
Sure.
and again, it's artistic style. It's some people like to live on the beach in a
Hmm.
condo. Other people want to live down in Pinecrest and have a lot of acreage and a lot of space. That's fine too.
Right.
It's just a function of having a little bit of everything. You said that earlier, and so I don't think it's a power of and. It's not the
Right.
detriment of or. You can have both,
Right.
and I think that's the beauty of what makes Miami special.
Yeah, and I guess if you know what to look for, I mean, Miami has it all, especially if you know where to look for. So
Exactly.
let's stay on that thread and giving the insider's perspective. So, Jeff, help me give like the sort of tagline elevator pitch to newcomers to South Florida and to Miami. So I'm gonna shout out some neighborhoods
Okay.
for you,
All right.
and
I love
just
this.
give
This
me
is good. This is good.
the log line for
This
them.
is
So
good.
so
Okay.
let's go with Brickell.
Brickell, very special, new, high rises, a lot of Latin American exposure, cool vibe,
I love it. Downtown Miami.
possibilities. Could be something extremely special.
Coconut Grove.
Big hug.
Coral Gables.
Inland.
Key Biscayne.
Boring. No, I'm just kidding. Beautiful.
Miami Beach.
Special. Visitors.
Wynwood Arts District.
Edgy, cool. Williamsburg, Brooklyn.
Curveball for you. Aventura.
Not Miami. That's America.
Finally, actually, last two, Fort Lauderdale.
That's not America. If I've got to go north of Soho House, I'm pissed off.
So I'll save Boca Raton then, because I feel like
don't even know where it is.
So the action is south of Aventura is what I'm hearing from Jeff.
South of Soho House.
South of Soho House. Ah, there you go.
Aventura is too far north
Okay.
for me.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
It's
why do I need to go north of Soho House?
I mean, you have it all down here.
That's
so.
exactly right. There's absolutely zero reason for me to go there.
Absolutely. Okay, I like it. So, Jeff, let's talk about, as we close this out, give me your big prediction about the future of Miami tech, right, and its effect, so to speak, on real estate. You touched on earlier, but give me your...
Yeah, I listen, I think that there's a lot of... I love Mayor Francis. I thank him very much for his leadership. Attitude reflects leadership. It always has, it always will. I think he's showing tremendous leadership in helping us attract people. But it's got to be more than that. And that means that those of us who have been here a long time, we need to help these new people that have come in understand our city. You've been here a long time. You know that. If you come here and you don't understand how Miami works, then it's not going to work for you. Mm-hmm. And so I think we all have to get our arms around these individuals, and I hope that these individuals, reach out to us. We're water people here. Mm-hmm. I'm a boater. If I'm going to go over to Bimini, I'm going to talk to local captains about, what I need to be, worried about, so that I don't end up spending thousands and thousands of dollars on running gear, right?
Right.
And I hope that these people understand that they need to reach out to the people that have been here a long time and find out where, the rocks are under the water. and understand who we are.
Mm-hmm.
And if we can do that, and everybody can work hard, we can build something very special. But again, it's more than just talk, and that means that we need to have investors,
Mm-hmm.
right? Who don't just come here and buy our real estate and enjoy our beaches. You got to invest into the community as well. And if we have that happening, and I think the other thing that Silicon Valley has done very well, and it's the one thing that I hope we can do here, is in Silicon Valley, it became very inclusive.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't about, okay, I'm going to build a company and I'm going to build a moat around it because I don't want anyone else to find out about it. It was very, hey, here's a great idea, and sharing it with everybody else, and everybody kind of coming together as a village to make it work. And we've got to get to that point here in Miami. It can't just be us, them, these different, segments. We all got to come together as a community and work together in helping these founders become successful, curating these companies, making sure that they have the capital that they need, making sure that they have, the expertise and the guidance and the advice. It's our job to remove the bumpers and barriers so that these companies can grow. And if we can do that, we will build something special, and it'll be long term. And real estate and everything else will benefit from it. But we can't, the real estate business, just can't sit there and sit back and say, okay, come buy the houses. They got to get involved as well.
Mm-hmm.
They've got to help say, well, hey, you just bought a $20 million house. You got some cash. If you're looking to be introduced to the local money managers, we would love to do that, and that's how it's going to happen.
Absolutely. All of us working together to help make this the greatest city in the world that we all believe it can be. And I want to tip my hat off to you and the Fuel Venture Capital team. Speaking of investing, I know that your firm is responsible for 2 of the 25 largest venture capital deals in the state in 2019. And just, with 23 companies global, you guys are really putting your money where your mouth is. So thank you for helping to make this the tech hub that it can be.
Thank you. Yeah, we've got a lot of work to do too, but we're proud of the work that we've done.
You got to start somewhere, right? Rome wasn't built in a day.
No, it certainly wasn't.
And speaking of reaching out and getting contacts, for those of you, our listeners, if you want to get in touch with Jeff, he's on Instagram at Jeff Ransdell VC, Twitter at Jeff Ransdell VC. We'll put your information in the show notes. Jeff, it is always a pleasure.
It's great to see you, my friend. Absolutely.
Keep up the great work. Yeah. And for all of you out there, remember that here in Miami, the future is always bright. Take care, folks.